I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of São Tomé and Príncipe to introduce an address by the head of state.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to introduce a pre-recorded statement of His Excellency Mr. Evaristo do Espírito Santo Carvalho, President of the Republic of the Democratic Republic of São Tomé and Príncipe. I thank you, Mr. President.
Senhor Presidente da 75ª sessão da Assembleia Geral das Nações Unidas, Senhor Secretário-Geral das Nações Unidas, Senhoras e Senhores Chefes de Estado e de Governo, Senhoras e Senhores Delegados, minhas Senhoras e meus Senhores, Excelências. Permitam-nos que comecemos por felicitar.
Honorable President of 75th Session of the United Nations General Assembly, Honorable Secretary General of the United Nations, Honorable Heads of State and Government, Honorable Delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I would like to begin my remark by congratulating Mr. Volker Boxer for his election as President of 75th Session of the United Nations General Assembly and offer him our full support during his term in office, which we wish to be full of success. Indeed, his election reflects the recognition among the member states of our organization of the role that his country has played in the international arena and his extensive experience. We are certain that this will greatly contribute to the success of this session's work and will allow him to identify better paths toward the resolution of the major issue facing the international community. We would also like to express our gratitude and congratulate the Professor Tinjani Muhammad Bande for the wisdom and dedication with which he conducted the work of 74th session. Finally, we could not fail to express our appreciation to Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, for the competence, selflessness, and zeal with which he has led our organization. Mr. President, the theme chosen for 75th session of General Assembly is pertinent to the current moment that we are experiencing in our world. We are convinced that multilateralism is the best way for us to combine our effort and together mitigate the effects of economic and financial crisis that the COVID-19 pandemic has imposed onto the world. We do believe that multilateralism will also allow us to overcome the enormous challenge facing the world. Indeed, the health crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic that is ravaging the world has shown us that a combination of effort and international solidarity can help us to mitigate its nefarious and worldwide impact. We must not lose sight of unceasing struggle against poverty. In our view, this is the greatest scourge on humanity, and that is the main cause of famine, soil degradation, unbridled exploitation of natural resources, armed conflict, population displacement, source and nurse migratory flow, and its continuing toll in human life. Therefore, we take the privilege of this opportunity to reaffirm our support for renewed multilateral cooperation on behalf of the people we serve, and for more multilateralism, more solidarity, and more effectiveness in both the combat against the effect of poverty and the maintenance of international peace and security, which is an indispensable condition for inclusive and sustainable development. In this regard, we unfortunately continue to see persistent tension spot with a major humanitarian repercussion all over the planet. Political and military conflict persists in Central African Republic, the Eastern Province of Democratic Republic of the Congo, South Sudan, Libya, the Sahel with emerging terrorist group, and the action of the terrorist group Al-Shabaab in East Africa and Boko Haram in Central and West Africa. We are concerned and apprehensive with respect to the flare-up of violence in Moçambique province of Cabo Delgado, and call for greater international community involvement in the fight against the tragic terrorist action in that region of Mozambique. The perennial issue of Western Sahara continues to be a cause of concern for us and demands greater involvement from all of us in the search of permanent solution in this prolonged negotiation process. Therefore, we reiterate our call for the involved parties to resume negotiation and reach a mutually acceptable political resolution. In addition, the situation in the Middle East also continues to cause the concern in us, in light of constant hostility between Israel and Palestine, as well as situation in Syria and Yemen. Therefore, we must find a compromise that will put an end to hostility and pave the way for open dialogue and negotiation toward a political solution that establishes lasting peace in that region of the world. The economic, trading, and financial embargo imposed on Cuba many years ago continue to be, in our view, another cause of major concern. For this reason, São Tomé and Príncipe reiterate our call for this sanction to be lifted in order to allow Cuba to face the challenged economic and social development without the constraint imposed by unfair sanctions, and take better advantage of opportunity in trade relations on an equal footing with the other member states of our organization. The persistence of violent extremism must continue to receive our attention, but not to detriment of other equally important challenges to human existence, which are reflected in the Sustainable Development Goals, such as combating poverty, climate change, and sea piracy, among others. Mr. President, honorable head of state and government. Our planet is profoundly distressed by the COVID-19 pandemic caused by the new coronavirus, with incalculable consequences both for our health and social and economic terms. In light of the high mortality level and the devastating effect of this disease and its high rate of spread, we must continue to use the mechanism that multilateralism offers us in terms of international solidarity in order to intensify the combat against the disease, deter the loss of human lives, and relaunch the economic development process in our country. We take this opportunity to express our appreciation for the wave of bilateral and multilateral solidarity that has benefited São Tomé and Príncipe, which has allowed us to escape a potential disaster. We offer our sincere and profound gratitude to the international community. However, in light of the devastating effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy of a fragile country such as São Tomé and Príncipe, a small island state, we renew our call for a continued spirit of solidarity and support for a post-COVID-19 economic recovery, which is likely to be very challenging. Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, it seems indisputable to us that the reason for the existence of United Nations is the maintenance of peace and security in the world, which is essential to foster development. We should note, however, that the world has changed significantly since the creation of our organization in 1945, and that we urgently need to adapt it to the new challenge of our time. Therefore, we once again reiterate our call for the reform process underway at the United Nations to be accelerated in order to give it greater momentum and increase its representation, effectiveness, capacity, and legitimacy in action that lead to the maintenance of international peace and security, and thus drive development throughout the world. Mr. President, Heads of State and Government, Mr. Secretary, São Tomé and Príncipe is preparing to graduate to the category of medium-income country in December 2024, a fact of which we are proud, as it reflects a recognition of the effort that our country has undertaken and the progress achieved in key areas of sustainable development. However, we are aware of the internal effort that will be required for us to overcome the enormous challenge that we will face after this graduation. 3. Therefore, we strongly appeal for the international community's continuing support in this new stage of our country's development. Mr. President, honorable delegates, Your Excellency, in closing, we would like to express our wishes that the world may see better days after this 75th session of our August General Assembly, with the peace and security and the progress toward the sustainable development that our countries long for. Thank you very much for your attention.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Democratic Republic of São Tomé and Príncipe for the statement just made. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Comoros to introduce an address by the head of state.